All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Off the Crossbar. I am the coach, Pete Eibner. I'm here with my main man, the co-coach, Adam the Miz Mizell. We are here in the basement of a bank, far away from the gunfire of West Baltimore, safe from the roaring crowds of people getting mugged at the Inner Harbor, free from the empty stadium of the Baltimore Orioles, and we are here to talk all things Baltimore soccer. Tell them what we got going on today, Miz.
Coach, we're also safe from tornadoes.
Tornadoes all over Baltimore County last week. Houses being taken to the Lollipop Guild.
Trees everywhere.
Trees everywhere. Witches, Kansas,
You
little
survived,
people.
by the way. Lizard update. So I have not seen one since the tornado, or alleged tornado.
That was your fix.
But you didn't suggest that. I'm a little disappointed.
I can't control the weather, Miz, but I will say this to you. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good, and whew, it's nice and smooth today. Ooh, it's good. It's a good day.
I had somebody do that to me.
You did?
Yeah, I saw somebody at the gas station and said, hey, off the crossbar. This bald guy. So we got a whole thing. Now we have 4 in the club. 4 in the bald guys club.
He was one of the 7 guys that has watched the show.
Perfect. It works.
That. All right, awesome.
All right, so as always, this show is brought to you by Ideal Health Chiropractic. My main man, Dr. Adam Maddox, he does the best work on your spine. He starts with the feet, sees if there's any imbalance, works with your hips, straightens the spine. I'm telling you, Miz, my back was so jacked up. It was like that movie where the guy fell off the thing and he hit the table and his back got all jacked up.
Tombstone.
Not Tombstone, the other one.
Van Wilder, where he jumps off the
No, the other one. He was wearing a mask, the guy with the mask.
Oh, Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2, yes, where he falls off and hits the table and he's like, that's the way my back was. And I found out that it was not because of anything that I was doing wrong. I had a muscle imbalance in my piriformis, which is like right above your butt. And
Can you spell that?
I cannot.
Okay.
I cannot. He did that, and he did something with my IT band and my legs, so all my back problems were caused by my legs. Dr. Adam Maddox straightened it out, fixed it, and before you knew it, I went in there, couldn't walk, came out of there dancing like Rerun from what's happening back in the day. That's the way he brings it. So, starting us off, the Ideal Health Chiropractic Mystery question of the day. What say you, Miz?
Got a good one for you. I'm not a huge game show guy, but Jeopardy has had an ongoing James Holzhauer. He's been racking up money left and right. He finally lost.
What is awesome, by the way.
Right. I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of money they had to take a break during the show because I think he was going to eventually take him bankrupt, the run he was on, but he came back and finally lost this week. So it's a little disappointing. Mystery question of the week. What game show would Coach Pete Eibner be on?
Well, first of all, I would love to be on Jeopardy.
Okay.
I love Jeopardy. I truly do. I love Jeopardy because if you ever watch, like when they have like the special shows, not just regular Jeopardy, but they have like Teen Jeopardy, every once in a while they'll have Celebrity Jeopardy, and every once in a while they have Senior Jeopardy. And you can tape Senior Jeopardy and edit out all the other parts except when the people are answering and they're saying stuff like, what is a spoon? Where is Mississippi? And it's hilarious because they look senile. But if you're asking me what show would I be on, I'm telling you right now, without question, Family Feud.
Family Feud.
Family Feud. I'm telling you, I could round up 5 of my family members that would either make a fortune off Family Feud or there would be like a brawl.
So you're saying you're guaranteed to leave with a brand new car?
Guaranteed to either beat somebody's tail in the game to get the car or somebody in my family's beating somebody on their side to get the car.
Gotcha.
Family Feud. And plus Steve Harvey, fellow bald, great mustache.
By the way, I think you'd be a guaranteed winner if it were elementary Jeopardy, right?
Are you kidding me?
Your odds go way up.
Way up.
Spell cheese, right? You're in.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, good to go. Thank you.
Great question, Miz.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so now This is what we got cooking today, Miz. I'm fired up.
I got to tell you, I'm really pumped up.
You know, because when we're coaching the game or when you're playing the game, you have an official. And the official is there to make sure that the game is played within the rules and confines of the rule book. You don't get to talk to referees too much. Today, we got a referee that we're going to bring. We'll put him on the hot seat, and we actually get to probe the mind of a referee. Tell him who we got, Miz.
We have none other than Baltimore referee legend.
Legend.
Through the high school ranks, club ranks, college ranks. He's done it all. He's been around for a very long time in the area. If you've coached any decent level of soccer, and he even has done recreational too. So any coach that's been around for a while has seen his face, has heard his voice, has probably been done wrong by a bad call, let's be honest. But we have Gary Cartwright in studio today. I'm so excited.
Love it. Love it.
So the plan is we've got to try to fit Landon Donovan in this week.
Absolutely. I felt so bad. 3 weeks in a row we've had to cancel on him because we ran out of time. But this week, Landon, in studio, excited to have him.
He's here. He's ready to go. And he's asked if we can just shorten the segment with Gary so that he can be guaranteed to get in this week.
All right. Well, let's hit it. Parents, kids, players, if you were looking for a camp this summer, look no further than Pete Caringi's All-Maryland Soccer Camp. It's where I started to coach. When I was 18 years old, I was playing college, and Pete Caringi asked me to work his camp. Best move I ever made. I learned how to coach, but not only that, I learned how to connect with kids, and I watched it from the master, Pete Caringi. Pete Caringi has developed more players out of the Baltimore area and coached more kids and brought the game to a higher level than anyone else I know. He puts his heart into it, knows the kids by name, has more energy than 5 other coaches put together, and I'm not kidding about that. So, check out all Maryland soccer camps, Pete Caringi, website's right here. It's a blast. It is the most fun a young player can have. And if you have a very young player that's more talented than the group he's in, Pete recognizes that, moves him into a more challenging area. And the development of these kids is outstanding. I swear by it. I swear by it. Best camp in Baltimore. Welcome back to Off the Crossbar. I am your host, Pete Eibner. This is my co-host and co-coach, Adam the Miz Mizell. And right now, I'm fired up.
Pumped.
Because we get to bring in a man, 34 years officiating experience. He's done 10 state finals at the high school level. He's done the MIAA finals several times. He's done Division I soccer with UMBC, played Boston College or Boston University. He was the official.
A lot of high-profile games. He must know someone.
Must know someone, and that someone is me.
Okay.
Apparently. A man who needs no introduction anywhere in the civilized soccer world. He's known as the Constable of the Cards. Let's give it up, Gary Cartwright.
How you doing,
What's up,
gentlemen?
man? How are you?
How you doing,
Hey,
fellas?
Gary.
Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us today.
Good to see you.
We only have 744 questions for you.
I got the answers.
All right, I love it. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Well, let's start off, Gary. How did you get into officiating?
Well, about 34 years ago, I was playing in an indoor game, and a fellow by the name of Ramon Maynard, who's been refereeing probably for 50 years.
One of my favorites, by the way.
Yeah, an Argentine guy with a real heavy accent, and so I was playing the game, and I got hacked a couple times, and I asked him, was he going to blow the whistle?
Right.
And he just started laughing, and he said, nothing, nothing. So I turned around, and I kicked the ball at him. So he gives me a red card.
Right.
And I said, are you kidding me? So anyway, he goes, oh, you're such a good player. You want to be a referee. You come this Saturday with me, and I'm going to teach you how to be a referee. So I got my stuff, didn't even have a whistle or a jersey.
Right.
He gets the whistle, the jersey, and we go down to the Columbia tournament, which was by invitation only.
Right.
For all state champion teams. 34 years ago, that's how I became a referee.
Wow.
Funny story about Ramon, by the way. I'm coaching, this is 5, 6, maybe even more than that, maybe like more like 7 years, 8 years ago, I'm coaching a bunch of 8-year-olds in an indoor game at Maryland Sports Arena. Or as Bobby McAvan would say, Maryland Sports Arena. and so we're playing and we're down by a goal. And it's in a tournament. It was like a Valentine's Day tournament or something, and time's running out and there's like 3 seconds left, and one of our kids gets a ball, beats the defender 101, shoots and scores. Oh, your parents are going nuts. The kids are going crazy, right? Ramon turns to me and goes, "No goal, offside!" And I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking about? And he goes, "I got you." And it was so funny. Great guy. So you start there. What is the next step in like, you go there, you go to the Columbia tournament, you start officiating. Where do you go from there?
So just like anything else, you got to try to move up the ladder. So you start off with doing some youth games, probably under 8, under 10. And then, you get to know people if you have the inside scoop. Like if you know somebody like famous Pete Eibner and, and Adam Mizell, you get, the name and they work you up and they say, hey, why don't you come and do, high school? I'm the Perry Hall High School coach. We'd love to see you out here doing some higher level games. So that's how you move up the ladder, by knowing, good people like yourselves.
Okay.
But back then, like the game was not as popular now. So there were less games. Is that fair to say? Like,
yeah, correct.
So it was kind of, harder to maybe find games because there were maybe not as many referees, but there were so fewer games.
Right.
So you really had to pound pavement and make calls and try to wiggle your way around to get games, right?
Exactly. Back then, now we have probably 500 to 1,000 referees in all the groups. Back then, we might have had 50 referees.
Wow.
So it wasn't as many refs back then as there are now. Of course, there wasn't as many games, like you said. So, the games, people would call you up and like, hey, we need referees Saturday. We need referees Sunday. And it's a commitment. I mean, you got to commit yourself, because once you commit to a game, you got to be there, or the teams aren't able to play.
Of course.
Hey, it's great soccer, but without the rereferees there making bad calls, you wouldn't have a good game.
Right.
We'd have nothing to talk about.
Right.
So.
So back then, was there an assigner, or did the coaches have to call you?
So there was assigners for many different groups. Hartford County had an assigner. Mason-Dixon had an assigner, which was Barney Bentz, who's been assigning high school soccer for years.
Yeah.
And you'd get in that clique, kind of just like everything else, and then you would get games. And, as you, made yourself available, you got better games and moved on to, bigger and better things.
How was it physically done? Because this is way before cell phones, way before email. So was it, hey, they'll call your house? Like, is that kind of how it was? Or?
Yeah, they would call you. They would call your house phone, and, if you answered the phone, and hopefully you would answer the phone, you would probably get the game. If you didn't answer the phone, they move on to the next guy.
Really?
And then the next guy would, the next guy stand up, like they say.
Right, okay.
So there was no leaving the message on the tape recorder voicemail?
Not too often, because the assigners want to get the games assigned as soon as possible. Like, for instance, now I'm getting assigned games that are going to happen in September and October already.
Yeah.
I mean, I've probably got, I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 days available in September, and that's how your schedule gets filled up. So
yeah, so now everything's ran through the arbiter, correct?
Right, correct. There's an arbiter, and the assigner goes on and assigns you a game at whatever level it is. You either accept it or decline it.
Right.
So if you get a game like Perry Hall against Hereford, 2 great coaches, you want to do that game, so you accept that game. You got Pete Eibner and Adam Mizell coaching the teams.
You might want to hit decline.
Yeah, you might want to hit decline, but you want to do them games, but you also want to make sure you got your yellow card in your pocket.
You might.
You know what I mean?
Not that you're going to need it,
but that brings me to an interesting point. Like, and honestly, when you are officiating a game, you obviously know people within the game. You know coaches, maybe you know players, maybe you know entire teams. How hard is it for you to emotionally detract from that part of it and just see the game as it is two teams competing?
Well, I mean, it's just like anything else. I consider myself a professional. I go out there, no hard feelings. I look at it as, 22 individuals out there playing the game, and you call the game the way you see it.
Right.
A lot of coaches say, oh, man, he don't like me, or, he has something against me, or he don't like, like one of my kids. I've never went out there, officiated a game, and held a grudge about something that happened, in a previous game or whatever.
Right.
I call the game the way you see it, and I don't think there's any official out there that goes preliminary into a game and saying, man, I want to see this team lose today.
Mm-hmm.
We just, we just don't operate that way.
Okay. But are there guys that and you don't have to mention them by name, or maybe you do, where hey, I got this game today. This guy's just going to be all over me. I hate doing their games. I hate the way their team plays. Does that happen? I mean, do you ever get in that?
Well, there's certain coaches that I kind of refuse to do their games because I've done so many games, and they great coaches, but don't respect the game. For instance, I don't really want to mention names, but I'm doing a high-level game. It's a semifinal game in the MIAA, and the coach is over there cussing at me in Italian. So at the next stoppage of play, I go up to him and say, "Capisci Italiano?" And he looks at me like, "Oh boy, I'm in trouble now." So guess what? He don't say anything the rest of the game.
Right.
But he's using profanity.
I would have never known he could speak Italian.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Look at that, man. I mean, seriously, up until this point, I barely knew you spoke English. But look at you, you're Italian.
I was going to say, I thought English was a second
Well,
language.
I speak fluently Spanish because that's the first language now.
Right.
So,
I gotcha. Yeah.
So
Especially in soccer, it's so diverse. I mean,
Right.
in order to really understand what's going on, to your credit, you should know many different languages, right?
Exactly. Right.
So do you have, with that, what is your level? Like this is one that everybody's different, but I found like some referees you can talk to during the game. You can say, "What did you see?" and they'll explain. You can say, "Hey, that kid's doing this or this player's doing that. Keep an eye on it," and they're fine. Other people, if you say word one, that fuse burns out. How do you handle that kind of situation? Like, what do you look for in communicating the rules and what happened in the events to coaches or players?
Well, usually, the coaches, I try to talk to the coaches and the players. When you've been around the game, you played the game, you coached the game, and you refereed as many games as I have, you kind of understand, that the coaches are out there trying to do what's best for their team.
Right.
As long as they're respectful and say, hey, Gary, what did you see there? Did you really think that was a foul? I'll have a conversation with them and, say, hey, coach, this is what I seen.
Right.
Or they'll be like, hey, coach, you missed that one or whatever. I mean, we're all human. I mean,
right.
Referees do miss calls sometimes. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Well, it's part of the game. Yeah, absolutely.
It's part of the game. So you try to talk to the coaches and say, hey, Pete, hey, Adam, I missed that one. I'll try I'll try to make sure we get the next one right.
Right.
It's just basically go out there, you try to call the game the way you see it, have respect for the game. Coaches respect the officials respect the coach. And move on.
Yeah.
If a coach is there, screaming at you the whole entire game because of a bad throw-in that happened at midfield, I mean, we're like, come on, coach, like really? Like the other 15 fouls that we call don't mean anything, but you're arguing about a throw-in at midfield.
Right.
I mean, come on, argue about something that matters.
Sure.
Holler about the PK that we missed or the PK that we called.
Right.
Sure.
But don't complain about a little foul at midfield that don't really mean anything.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. But I am curious because going back to as you're coming up the ranks, like what was the first if you can remember, what was the first big game that you got as a young referee where the whistle's kind of sweaty, your palms are sweaty, a little nervous, you're like, man, I hope I do a good job in this game. Like, what was the first big high-profile game you did?
Oh, man, this is a great story. So anyway, it was Calvert Hall against Gilman.
What year?
Back around 1990.
Okay.
Okay, so that's probably J.J. Kramer,
J.J.
Brian
Kramer,
Bugarin,
yeah, those guys. And
Anthony Adams.
Bill Karpovich was the coach for Calvert Hall.
And you got the middle in this game.
And actually, back then, we only used two officials.
Two,
Okay.
right.
So this is back in the day, you know.
Right, sure.
So anyway, I go to the game. It's my first high school game.
Right.
I get assigned Calvert Hall versus Gilman.
Now, where's it being played?
At Calvert Hall,
Okay.
at the Hall.
Which is an intimidating place to
Right.
play
So-
for a high school team.
So to be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. You know, it's first, kind of big game, and Gilman was doing
Right.
well that year. So it was a big game for both teams. So I get to the field and
You roll up in the Pinto, right?
Yeah,
And then,
I
yep.
roll up in the Pinto,
Right.
with the 4-cylinder.
I got you, right?
And I go to the game, and my collar's a little out of place, and Karpovich comes up to me, and he looks at me, and he straightens my collar out, and then he says, "They usually send good officials to my game."
Oh!
And I'm like, "Really?"
Oh.
He's like, "Are you a rookie?" I said, "Actually, this is my really first big high school game." He goes, "Do you know the rules?" I said, "Rules?" I said, "Are there rules?" I said, "I just came to referee the soccer game. I didn't know there were rules." And he's looking at me like, "Oh my God, like really they sent a rookie here to do this big game?" So 2 minutes later, my partner comes walking across the field and he goes, "Oh my God," he's talking to his assistant coach. He goes, "I can't believe they got him and a rookie. We're in trouble today." So anyway, he comes over about 2 minutes later after they're warming up, and he goes, "No, I'm being serious." He said, "Do you know the rules?" I said, "To be honest with you," I said, "I really don't know the rules." I said, "But I know I beat you for the MSA championship in 1977. And he had this look on his face because nobody talks to Bill Carpenter.
Right.
He's a legend.
Right.
He's got 15, 20 championships.
Right.
And he looks at me and he starts reviewing all the plays. And this was like 8 years ago. Yeah, Louis Terabasi fell down. The ball hit him in the head. It goes in the goal, and you guys win luckily. I was like, yeah, something like that happened, Coach. Anyway, have a good game. So I'm halfway through the game, and I make 4 or 5 calls, and he's all of a sudden he's on the sideline pacing up and down, and he's like, "Good call, rookie. Good call, rookie." The whole game he's calling me rookie. Good call, rookie. So after the game, they end up winning the game. He shakes my hand. He says, "You did a great job, rookie."
That's awesome. That's good stuff.
That is a great story. And for those of you who don't know, Coach Karpovich, it could be one of the most intimidating figures in Baltimore soccer, high school soccer. When he was running Calvert Hall, number one, program was unbelievably successful. His teams were unbelievably disciplined and fit, and he came out with the eye of the tiger. I mean,
Correct.
He came out and wanted to win. And just I remember as a player wanting to beat him, and in my high school career, we never beat him. I went back specifically to coach at Curly to beat Coach Karpovich. That's what I want to do. And it took 2 years. We finally did it, but it was, I don't know that I have ever been so intent on beating anyone in my life, and you almost couldn't do it. I mean, he would get the most out of those kids and also knew how to work the referees a little bit, whether that be to get in their ear a little bit or to call Rook.
Right.
He tried to intimidate you. Yes, he would.
Now, as you transition into, after that game, obviously you did a good job because then the phone starts ringing, right?
Correct.
And you transition, and now you're starting to expand your horizons. You're picking up college games now?
College games, yeah.
Yeah, so you went from the high school and the college game. Well, now is it kind of the similar where you show up for the college game, and now you're thinking, man, this is another step up, and as an official, you're trying to figure things out, or was it just smooth sailing as usual?
Well, the college level's a little different. It's a higher level game, Coaches don't really say much to you unless it's, you seriously miss something. if like you're doing a D1 game and the coach says something to you, you know that you probably missed something, or it was kind of a questionable call. They don't nitpick about a throw in at midfield or a little, touch foul.
Right.
It's got to be something serious. And if, somebody say, for instance, you're doing a UMBC game and you got Coach Caringi over there and he says, come on, ref, you missed that one. You pretty much know in your head you missed it.
Yeah.
You gotta be kind of, honest with yourself. One thing I've always done, if a coach said something to me and I know, I missed that call, you got to kind of suck it up and say, hey, coach, you're right, I missed that. A lot of referees, what they'll do is they'll escalate that and like go over to the coach, and they know deep down inside they missed the call.
Right.
But then they'll end up carding you because you're questioning their call.
And by the way, that is probably the most frustrating thing for me, because I understand, look, half of what you do is going to not be in my favor, and half of what you do is not going to make the other side happy.
Right.
Right? So you can't win. You don't make friends as a referee. But when you make mistakes, if a referee comes up to me and said, I missed it or I didn't see it, that's the end of the conversation. But when it gets to we joke around about it all the time. When it gets to, you question it, and what's the best line?
One more word and you're in the parking lot, right? Why? It's always the parking lot.
It's always that. Like, where do you guys have a class for that? Because every referee, one more word, you're in the parking lot.
That's right. It's always the parking. I don't get
Always
it.
the parking lot.
Is there so
it's like a corporate response.
Right.
I mean, like you're programmed to say that.
I think out of all the years I officiated, I think I might have sent one coach to the parking lot.
Really?
One coach out of all the games I've ever done, send him to the parking lot.
Wow.
Because he used some foul and abusive language, and there was a lot of children around, and
Right.
And you're supposed to, as a coach, you're supposed to be not only coaching the game, but set an example to the youth,
Right.
to the high school kids. They're high school kids trying to get an experience and getting them ready for the next life.
Sure.
The next step in life.
Sure.
Not just the soccer game.
Sure.
Now,
Which a lot of people forget about.
And because I've been a parent too, also a coach and a parent, but when did you start to kind of notice that from, over evolution, if you will, like when you first started officiating until now, like where did you feel like parents became vocal, or has it always been that way? Or was there like a time frame where you're officiating a game one day and you're thinking, what is this guy on the hill doing? What does he keep yelling at me for? And then it's kind of snowballed from there. I mean, take us back.
Well, I would say probably 30 years ago, with coaches, you usually had somebody, that played the game a little bit, and then they, decide they want to coach their kid, or
Right. Sure.
Coach a group of kids that are in their area or whatever. Really, maybe didn't have any coaching experience, or took any coaches classes like they have now. You got coaches license and different grades for the license. Back then, you didn't have that. It was just a guy picked up, a soccer ball, maybe read the rule book, half of the book anyway.
Right.
And then coached the kids. So, you got experienced guys like yourselves, you got coaching license and you do training, and, so you guys been around the game, you know the game, and, it's just so much better with the coaches that have the experience.
Yeah.
Now you have coaches that,
Yeah.
kind of know what they're doing. They know the game, they've been around the game.
Yeah.
But some of the parents, most of the parents that are complaining about the calls and questioning the referees' calls, I hate to say it, but it's usually the guys that are never played soccer before.
Yeah.
Not kind of degrading anybody, but the 250-pound guys that probably are eating Twinkies on the sideline, questioning the referee's calls, knowing he's never played a game of soccer in his life.
Right.
So.
And some women too.
Yeah, women too. Yeah. I've done games where women come chasing me with umbrellas. Because it was a bad call that I made. I was up at Drexel University one day, and the lady comes and like starts chasing us off the field with an umbrella, you know. So the security people had to come and assist us back to the locker room.
Well, when we found out you were coming on the show, we put out an email to our mailing list, and we got some responses. And what we asked for is any questions that you want to ask a referee. So can we do that segment now? Are we cool with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So question number one. The names are on here. The email names are on here. So, but I'm gonna just, in order to be, it will just say this is from Janet. When you guys get your referee manuals, are they also written in Braille?
I don't recall.
Okay. Not written in Braille.
That's a good answer. Yep. Safe play. I like it.
All right. This one is from Kevin. And this one is from Kevin. And he writes, when you go from a high school game to a college game, is it harder because the pace is faster?
Actually, it's easier to do a higher level college game because a foul is usually a foul. I mean, it's pretty obvious. In a high school game, you have a lot of kids that, are just out there for activity until you get to the higher level. And there's a lot of, clumsiness and a lot of fouls that you kind of, got to question yourself. Do I call that? Do I not call that?
Right.
The college game, it's a foul. It's no questions.
But the pace of the play doesn't make it more difficult for you, because I'll tell you, coaching, when I coached at the Division I level, stuff happened so fast. When I went back and started coaching club, it was like watching soccer underwater. Everything was slow and readable. And right. Do you find that different from a referee standpoint?
It's pretty much the same. Like the college level's a lot faster, but at a college level, if you've been around a game, you kind of anticipate and or are supposed to know where the ball is going to be 5 seconds from now.
Right.
So you kind of position yourself to that. Where in the high school, the ball could go anywhere.
Right.
Like sometimes it could go here. They miss kick it, go there. At a college level, you pretty much know where the ball is going to be.
Okay. Jim from Baltimore asks, do you leave the window cracked for your seeing eye dog when you ref?
Yeah, I do. I leave the window cracked. Since I have some contacts, always make sure I have both of my contacts in when I'm reffing. And I never bring my regular glasses.
I'm very curious, though. We were kind of talking about this when we knew you were coming on. We were saying, like, there had to be one time over the span of your career where you're in a heated game, it's chippy, the coaches, are on edge, the players are on edge, the game has high stakes, and you're very serious, you're dialed in, focused up on what you're doing, and someone from, the stands or bleachers or whatever yells out a heckle at you, and you just got to chuckle. There has to be one.
Yeah, what is the best heckle you've ever gotten?
The best heckle?
Where you just couldn't help yourself, and you're thinking, man, if I break if I show any signs of humor, these coaches are going to be on me, but you couldn't help it.
All right, so I'm doing a game. I think it was probably a homecoming game, Calvert Hall and Curly.
Right.
Okay.
And
at Curly or at Calvert Hall?
It was at Calvert Hall.
Okay.
How long ago?
It was probably about 10 years ago.
All right.
So my son attended Calvert Hall, and so the Calvert Hall fans are hollering every time I made a call against Curly. They would say, "How can you ref this game? You went to Calvert Hall."
Right.
And then the Calvert Hall guys start hollering, "How can you ref this game? You went to Curly." Like there's a conflict of interest. So after about 4 or 5 times, I turn around and I holler to the whole fan. I said, "You guys got it all wrong." I said, "I went to Patterson." I said, "and in '77, we both beat Calvert Hall and Curly." And then they all started clapping.
That's great.
That's great stuff.
That's great. Hey, we got one more. And this comes from Kelly from Baltimore. Who are the referees in the area that you think are most fit to do MLS games?
the ones that are currently doing games, or ones the moving up the ladder for?
Well, let's just talk
MLS
about
games?
Baltimore referees. Let's change the question a little bit. With all due respect to the email, who are the referees? Because I know who, like Joe Manfrey, great referee.
Great referee.
But who are Paul Tamburino, another
yeah.
one.
Right.
Who are the referees? And it could be those two. It could be more. Who are the referees you think are some of the best in the area, whether retired now or coming up through the ranks now? Who are the referees that you look to and say, wow, that guy's good at what he does?
Right. So, of course, Joe Manfrey's been around for years. He's probably the grandfather of refereeing.
Right.
Great. He's done, I don't know how many NCAA championships. And so probably if I had to list them from, like, say, 1 to 5, he would be number 1. Paul
Right.
Tamburino, was a local guy.
Yeah.
He's now the assigner for 11 different college, associations. He would probably be number 2.
He was my coach when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Paul Tamburino. Another great mustache.
And just about that time, he got out of coaching and began refereeing.
He got
Why
old
is that?
and he said, that's it, I'm done. I'm getting into the reffing business.
So I mean, those guys have been around the game for for years, and there was a guy. His name was Dennis Woodward.
Oh my gosh.
Oates.
Oates,
His
yep.
nickname was
Yeah.
Oates. Probably, in my opinion, one of the best officials in Maryland. Ever reffed a game. Unfortunately, he had passed, and he's missed.
Dearly.
Not only was he one of the best referees, but I don't think, he was unflappable. Whatever happened in the game, he just enjoyed it. And he just, after the game, before the game, during the game, never stepped out of character. Just a great guy. On the field and off the field.
He was a hell of a player as
Yeah.
well.
Great official. Great official.
And that is one.
I mean, I know we through the years we've kind of forgotten about him, but he like I said, he would be in the top 3.
Yeah.
That
one of my favorite people involved with soccer
Yeah,
in the soccer community.
great
Great
guy.
soccer family
great
too.
guy. Great
Yeah.
guy. So
So we
So
got 3.
I have. So are you happy with that list?
I think that's the top 3.
Okay.
Top 3.
So
would
I have
to
2
think-
things that I gotta ask, right? While we have you in here. Number 1, why is compression short color and tape color more important than offsides? Why is that? I gotta know.
Because you have these bunch of guys that sit around in an office
Right.
working for the rules committee,
Right.
who's probably never played a game of soccer in their life, who's never coached a game of soccer in
Right.
their life, never refereed a game of soccer in their life,
Right.
that are coming up with these rules. It's ridiculous.
Look, I can see, I can totally agree with you. I will side with the referee on this issue 100 times out of 100 if teams have the same color socks, where that might be difficult.
That might be a problem.
But if you have a guy wearing blue shorts with white compression shorts, and they happen to be playing a team with white shorts, oh my gosh, if you can't, that's the issue.
Well, if it's the referee's problem, of course, we go back to he might need some contacts.
Right. Get his dog out of the car.
But I'm not kidding. I've found that I've had many of officials over the years where, the offside calls were very dicey, and whether it was for or against my team, it didn't matter. But they were all over the compression shorts and the tape socks.
Right. Or the one that kills me, Gary, is why is it a federal offense if a player wearing blue socks? Now, I think it's stupid that they do. I'm going to go on the record. Dumbest thing kids do today with their uniforms, when they cut the bottom of their socks and they have blue socks with white socks underneath.
Underneath, right.
Why is that a federal offense?
First of all, I don't know why they do that.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. They got a perfectly good probably $25 pair of socks.
But
you know?
but to be fair, that's like when we were younger. It
It's
was
a style,
cool.
it's a
Yeah,
style.
it was cool to pull the socks halfway up, and then you had the shin guard.
Right, that's
the other
true.
end. So
Yeah.
you know.
But yeah, I really don't know. Like, you know, sometimes you even get the coaches that are complaining. Like,
Right.
you know, Adam's coaching your team, and he's like, "Hey, Garrett, come here. Pete's guy's got 10 guys with white socks, and he's got 2 guys that got blue socks on.
Right.
Those guys can't play technically by the rules. You know, it's the rules that we have to
Enforce,
by, you know, the National Soccer Federation.
And I haven't had that much problem this year with club, but high school, that seems to be
It's paramount.
the biggest issue.
Unbelievable.
Like, is that coming? That's coming from above
It's coming
your level.
from above the rules committee.
Right.
Like, I'll give you a good example. I was doing a state final 2 years ago, and the score was 5-0. And the goalie came into the game, probably never played a minute in all the games that he played all year.
Right.
So they wanted to get the kid in
Kid
the
on the
game.
field to just
It's
have the experience.
5-0.
Right.
So the kid goes in the game. We allow him to come in, enter the field to play, and he finishes the game. And after the game, the state interpreter comes up to me and he goes, "You guys really screwed that game up." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "A certain call?" Or I said, "The score was 5-0. Everybody's happy. Nobody complained the whole game." He said, "You allowed that goalkeeper to go in the goal without a number on the front of his shirt." And I looked at him and I was like, "Are you serious right now?" He goes, "I'm dead serious. That is the National Federation rule. And you guys did not abide by it. And we have probably 40 years of experience between you 3 officials." And I said to him, I said, "If it was such a big deal and you're the state interpreter," I said, "why didn't you mention something to the 4th official before the kid entered the game?"
Right.
But he didn't have not one complaint about an offsides, a handball, a penalty shot. He's worried about a kid in the high school level that probably never got in a state championship game, the experience of his life, and because he didn't have a number on his shirt.
And I'll tell you, that drives me crazy.
unbelievable.
Because what it does, it makes the rules more important than the spirit of the game.
Exactly.
And I'm glad to hear that that's not something that, you know, referees are vigilant about. It's kind of forced down their throat a little bit, but that makes me insane. It just
does.
absolutely drives me crazy.
I have one more final
Just
question.
one, just
and I
one.
want you to explain to all the viewers, the parents, coaches, what is a handball?
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Everything's a handball.
Is it? Okay. So
Everything.
So when you're at a guy with your experience and the amount of game film that's ingrained in your brain that you've watched play, what is to you a handball?
Okay, so this is what drives me crazy as a referee. 10 years ago, they say if you intentionally, before they used the word intentionally,
Right.
if you intentionally handled the ball, that would be a yellow card. It would be a caution because
Right.
it was an intent.
Right.
So now they put in the rules the word deliberate. So in order it by the law of the game for it to be a handball, it's supposed to be deliberately played by the hand or arm. So I'm saying if you deliberately handle the ball, it should be a caution. So by the rules, every handball, if it's deliberate, should be cautioned. And it drives us crazy as referees because now they're saying if it just hits your arm in a natural running position, even if you gain an advantage, it's not a handball if you don't intentionally end it.
But that call is made in every game that I'm at, that I am either watching, coaching, or say. So let's go back to the Champions League final.
Right.
Is that a handball?
Exactly.
To you, if you're calling that game, is that a handball?
By the laws of the game, that's a handball because his hand was in an unnatural position, is what they say.
But isn't that up to interpretation? Because if I'm jumping to block a ball, my arms are going to go out. Why? Because I naturally have a propensity to want to balance my landing. No one is going to jump and go like this because you will be off balance. So a natural position when you are jumping is to have your arms out.
Well, what if I'm a kid who just by nature, my mechanics, I run like a T-Rex and my hands are out and the ball, but that to me, that's not deliberate or intentional.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so by the way, I agree that it was a penalty kick, just for the
agree as
record.
well, right.
But
there's only one goalkeeper allowed per team.
they have refined and changed a very simple rule. You can't touch the ball from the shoulder down. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
It would solve all the
It
issues.
solves all the issues.
But here's the fly in that ointment. If I'm a kid, who's defending a player who's at the top of the box and he's getting ready to take a shot, or a kid out wide who's getting ready to serve a ball in, and I'm standing here literally, and nowadays you see, real disciplined defenders, they'll put their hands behind
the back.
But some kids just can't do it, or they get there a second too late, and the kid's literally, the player's 4 feet away and hits a bomb, and it hits off their arm. Now that's up to interpretation whether or not it's a handball.
Look,
And one game it is, and then you turn around and the next game it's not.
he will remember this. I'm sure you will remember this. The year was 2014. The date was September 24th. We're playing at Catonsville.
Don't shortchange us. What time was kickoff?
Kickoff was at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
There you go.
7 o'clock. We didn't start till 7:02, by the way.
Right. I got you.
I was furious because he had to check socks.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but that happened in a game. 1 minute left in overtime. A kid from our team drove a ball across the box. A defender lunged out. The ball hit him in the hand, and there was no call. And you remember this because I went nuts. It might be the only time I've ever yelled at you, but I went bananas.
Oh, I can think of 2 other times.
So by what he described as the definition, maybe that's not a handball, right?
Well, if his hand's up, it would be unnatural, right? Or
Not if he's jumping.
Not if he's jumping, right.
So it's
so the kid was jumping in the air.
he was lunging to block the ball and it got cut back and hit him. And it wasn't like he swatted it, but if he would have held it for another half second, he might have traveled.
And like for us coaches, like it boils down to this. Like we, especially at the high school level, college level, beyond, but even at the club level, like there's so much time that goes into training and lessons for your kids and all these things that you're doing with the team, whether it's tactical, technical, and you're trying to develop the players to reach their maximum potential. And when you're in games and you're trying to achieve goals as a collective unit, and something boils down, a game could come down to whether or not you see it as a handball or Jimmy Smith, the other referee, sees it as a handball, and there's a difference there.
Right. There's one little quote in the rule book that kind of confuses everybody.
What's that?
And it could be worldwide. In the opinion of the referee.
Right.
And you know how many referees we got, and you know how many opinions we have.
That's correct.
So every game is different, and it's based on that quote in the rule book and the opinion of the referee. Now, in high school soccer, they just put in it last year that if a female in a girls' game, if the ball's coming and shot towards her head, because of the concussion protocols that are going out now, they're able to put their hands up and block the ball from hitting them in the head. So at our state interpretation meeting, I brought up the scenario and I was like, this is a joke, right? Or it's a misprint in the rule book.
Right.
I was like, since when are you going to be able to put your hands up to block your head? You either got to head it or you got to let the ball go. But they put that in the rule book.
But it's only for women's soccer?
It's for high school soccer that you can, because of...
So wait a minute. So in high school soccer, I can have my center back jump up in the air and go like this?
If it's coming towards their head and they're protecting their head in the rule book, it says that they can protect their head. But then again, there you go by the opinion of the referee.
Right, but watch how that changes the game. You and I are jumping up for a head ball, and that ball is coming to me, but you may jump higher. I can gain an extra couple inches by doing that.
Exactly.
Well, not only that, but if someone hits a shot and you can jump in the line, the trajectory of the ball, and with your head and arms here, block it and say, I was going to jump and I was going to head it, but I'm protecting myself.
The people that are writing the rule book are fundamentally changing the game. And then who catches the brunt of that storm when something like that happens in the game?
The referees.
The referees. And so that might be the next conversation we got to have. Where's one of these anonymous faces? How can we get one of them here and say, what are you doing?
Absolutely. Well, I'm interested in your opinion because, you've been a referee, very veteran career that you've had. What is your opinion and where do you think we're going with this whole replay system?
I think it's good for only determining if it's a goal or not. I think they're taking away the spirit of the game and, decisions being made on the field. If you're going to replay, every time you think it's a foul, or because most of the time, unlike basketball or football, if you hit a guy, basically in basketball, you smack him in the hand, that's a foul.
Right.
In soccer, you can make contact, but it might not necessarily be a foul. Or if the guy keeps gains an advantage and continues to play on. So you're taking a lot of the judgment calls out of soccer by having all this replay.
But you do find it like the goal line stuff.
I think for the goal line, it's definitely a plus.
I would agree.
Because you don't want to lose a game by scoring a goal and then they calling it not being a goal because the entire whole ball is not over the whole line.
Look at your position as a referee. You are at midfield or relatively midfield.
Sure.
Your AR is on the outside by the last defender. What if the shot's from 30 yards out hits the crossbar? There's none of you that have a good angle to see it. So I agree with you because that's the way I look at it. It's another set of eyes. I don't need the referee to constantly be undermined or second guessed because that debate, then you're taking the debate, was it a foul, wasn't a foul, putting it upstairs to two people who don't have a face and they're going to debate whether it was a foul, wasn't a foul, and then tell you what to do. I think that undermines what you do.
Right. Well, it was like in a Premier game a few weeks back. They had a play. It was in the box, and they thought it was a foul, and the referee didn't call it. They went and played 5 more minutes of the game, and then at the next stoppage, they went upstairs and reviewed it, and then they determined it was a foul, and ended up giving them a PK 5 minutes later.
That's not
ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not the way. That's not the spirit of the game. Oh, look, and I rib you a little bit. Referees get ribbed a little bit, but at the end of the day, you're there to enforce the rules of the game to the best of your ability, and you're going to get most of them right. You're going to get some of them wrong. I'm going to like some of the calls because the ball's going to bounce my way, and I'm not going to like some of them. And but that's your job.
And like us referees always say that, hey, 50% of the people love us, and 50% of them hate us.
Yeah.
So I got one more for you before you go.
All right. You said that 3 questions ago, Adam.
Right. So just one more, and then there's 16 other ones. But this is, and I'm always curious about this. And I know, like now in the county, we're able to, if we have the budget for it, we can pay extra. But is it possible to really do the job right in a 2-man system?
I hate the 2-man system. I mean, there's so much space in between 2 guys that are 70 yards apart.
Right.
And trying to determine fouls and, things that happen centrally in the field.
Right.
Sometimes, a guy scoots in front of you. You're trying to look across through sometimes 20 guys on a corner kick, and sometimes you just can't see it.
Yeah.
Because you're 40 yards away.
And it's happening boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and it's happening quick. I mean, the 3-man system is the way to go for the schools that have the money. I would suggest going with the 3-man system. You have 3 eyes out there instead of 2. You got a guy that's probably 10 to 15 yards on top of the play if he's doing his job.
I hope you have 6 eyes.
And, well, when I put my contacts
and then the glasses over top.
Yeah,
right?
so. But anyway, I've done many of Pete's games. Probably the year you won the state championship. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've told you that once before.
Yes,
but
you have.
anyway, I think I did the semifinal game where there was kind of a major call that I made, and you kind of, got the call, probably maybe because I know you a little bit, but.
I don't remember the
No,
call.
you
but
don't remember it?
I don't remember the call because it
But
went
he
my
re-
way. But I can tell you every call that you've ever
He
made.
remembered the one
All the
that I
ones that
missed.
didn't go his way, right?
And that's the game, though, right? That's the game.
But see, that's why I'm here today, because some referees can't let things go.
Yeah.
Like, we've had games, I've refereed a lot of Adams games, your games, and there's been some calls you guys don't agree with. But at the end of the day, hey, you can holler at me, cuss at me in Italian. I'll still talk to you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I would tell
Doesn't
you
call him
exactly
that.
how many calls you got. I don't have my adding machine.
You don't have it.
But leave us.
That was when you were at Kenwood.
That's
believe.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Yep. Leave some advice for young guys because now a lot of our former players
Players,
are getting
yeah.
into refereeing. Leave some
Right.
advice for the young guys that are starting to come in.
Okay, so the young guys, I would suggest kind of listening to what they have now as mentors, who usually we try to put younger officials with some experienced guys so they can get some experience, doing the games. And when you start moving up to higher levels, you got to remember that it's not about you as an official.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your game. It's the kids' games.
That's great
And,
advice.
You're not the show out there to show yellow cards, red cards. Let the kids determine the game on the field.
Yeah.
Don't try to get wrapped up and be some, I want to be the big time official that, red carded this guy and red carded that guy. Let them, determine the winner on the field.
That's great advice.
Absolutely great advice. Do you want to stick around for the next segment? Because we have to get the Patrick Swayze Player of the Week.
Okay, that sounds great.
We'll be right back. Off the crossbar. Hey everybody, this is the coach Pete Eibner to talk about my company, Fast Forward Training Systems. We develop kids with the ball, make them better soccer players, increase their technical skill, increase their speed of play, and yes, we also do strength, speed, and agility. We've been in business since 1991. We've gotten over 500 kids to the Division I level in college. We have trained the best in the area. Would love to train you. So let's get out, let's kick the ball around. Visit the website, www.fastforwardtrainingsystems.com. Welcome back to Off the Crossbar. We are now at our favorite part of the show. So what we do, Gary, every week, we scour high, we look low, we leave no stone unturned, no game unwatched, and we find one player who gets the great honor of being the Ideal Health Chiropractic Patrick Swayze Player of the Week. Patrick Swayze, what's he known for, Ms.?
The best hair ever. I mean, it's just unbelievable. What's your favorite Patrick Swayze movie, Gare? Like Point Break or Young Blood or Roadhouse?
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse?
Yeah, Roadhouse.
He was Dalton. Dalton.
Yeah, there are two great mullets in that movie, by the way.
No doubt.
Because Sam Elliott's
is up there. Yep.
But so Roadhouse, of course, you be nice until it's time.
Not to be nice,
Not
right?
to be nice.
Right.
So here we go. The Patrick Swayze, look at that mullet. That is a gorgeous mullet right there. I tell you what,
One of my
you
favorites.
should grow a mullet. If I could, I would.
You never had a mullet.
Never had a mullet.
Come on, man. Could you imagine how much?
Never had one.
You
know how cool
running
that
down
would
the
look?
field,
I
flowing
could be
in
the
the back.
first referee with a mullet.
I was going to say, you know how cool that would look to give a coach a red card with a mullet?
Yeah.
I mean,
and maybe
Pull the card out of the hair?
Yeah,
be awesome.
That's what I was going to say. Pull the red card out of the back of your hair.
get the comb out of one side, brush
Yeah.
it back, and then the
Yeah.
Gotta do it.
Not only caution them with the yellow from this side, you can pull the red out of the mullet, the
like it.
longer side.
It's fantastic. I like it.
We gotta get this done. Mullets for everybody. So, Ms., Player of the Week this week. Who gets the honorary mullet?
It's Jack Andrews, locally developed product, now plays the Philadelphia Union, finished the year as their leading scorer and had a great game the other day against PA Classics.
Unbelievable kid. He finished 23 games in the U.S. Development Academy League. 23 games, finishes the season, 23 goals, 21 assists. Had a goal and an assist against PA Classics.
Yep.
Have you seen this kid play?
Yes, I have. Excellent player. Refereed many of his games, especially at the fabulous Maryland Sports Arena.
Maryland Sports Arena. It's got a great atmosphere.
Well, and the other thing is his family pedigree. All the Andrewses have been around soccer. So.
Yeah. You know, I had the pleasure of coaching Jack when he was really little all the way up to last year. Last year, he was on the team that won the state championship and won the regional championship. Jack was the catalyst. He was our leading scorer. He got the golden boot at the regionals. Just a phenomenal player, phenomenally talented, great work ethic, and just the kind of kid that goes home from school, works in the yard with a ball hours till you know his dad has to almost rein him in. And
then he works in the yard mowing grass and doing gardening.
Also, the most important thing, a great kid.
He is a great kid.
I mean, great, exceptional soccer player, but never questions the call, just continues to play the game.
They're your favorite, by the way. Guys who
Favorite
don't
player.
question calls.
Guys and coaches that don't question calls.
I like that.
So, but he's up at the Philadelphia Union now. He was the leading scorer of their entire Union Academy. By the way, the second leading scorer for the Union's entire academy is also a Baltimore product named Dominic Dubon. He played at Browsey, also played at FCUSA, and most recently for Celtic. Went up there. And so Baltimore is really making a push up north and making a lot of splash, but it's not Baltimore time. It's time.
It's mullet time.
It's mullet time. So, without further ado, let's put the mullet on Big Jack. Congratulations, kid. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. I say you grow it and you keep it. It's a good-looking mullet, kid.
That's it for us here at Off the Crossbar. Do we have time for Landon?
Oh my gosh, we have run out of time. Landon Donovan, I am so sorry. We will get to you next week. Signing off for Off the Crossbar. I'd like to thank our guest, official extraordinaire, Gary Cartwright. I am the coach, Pete Eibner. This is the co-coach, my main man, Adam the Miz Mizell. We'll see you next week.